Wow. 1 week, just 1 day away from 2022. And we are so excited at Coffee Time with Masterminds. We've been talking about reflections all month. And today we're going to talk about our goals for 2022. Be sure to join us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee Time with Masterminds. My name is Peter Blakely, and I'm the founder and principal of Blakely Consulting.
Welcome to Coffee Time with Masterminds. I am Cynthia Rojas, founder and principal of To Your Growth.
Welcome to Coffee Time with Masterminds. I'm Rebecca Tuttle, founder and principal of Grant Right Now and Grant Writing for Good.
I love that jingle. Let's bring on Peter Blakely. How are you, Peter?
Good. How are you?
Good. We are 1 day away. I can't believe it. But I want to welcome everyone to Coffee Time with Masterminds for the last time in 2021. We are going to continue in 2022, but it's nice to close out the year, which is what we've been doing. And so one of the new things this year is that we got syndicated in Australia, and we have listeners there. So we want to welcome them. We also want to welcome all of our international listeners and those in the U.S. as well. Wow. We're going to talk about goals. We're going to talk about 2022. That's amazing. We are 22 years into the year 2000. I can't believe it sometimes. I can't believe it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us are feeling like good, right?
Yeah.
This was another tough year.
Yes. But you know what? We're smarter. We're going to be smarter in 2022, and it's not going to be as hard. It's not, because some organizations have a rhythm. They've gone hybrid, or they're in the process of going hybrid. Like, they're starting to figure it out. Right. And there are some who have already. So there's a lot of construction going on in nonprofit organizations, a lot of rebuilding and reorganizing the internal design to accommodate people. So
and I think that's it kind of goes back to our conversation about innovation and adaptation. Yeah, we're getting to the point now where these adaptations are being implemented and are being baked into operating procedures.
I remember, and so I know we're going to talk about goals, but I remember having meetings about creating hotel suite like desks. And thinking that was the worst ideas, because people come to work to engage. They want their space, shared space. There's research against it. There's research for it, but it depends where you land. And that's the research you tend to read. And now so many organizations are just doing hotel style suites, desk suites, where people use them for the day. And so it feels so natural to do that now, right? And 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, we're realizing that we were operating under a lot of incorrect assumptions about how our spaces had to be used. And a lot of organizations are going to save a lot of money by not having that footprint when they don't need it.
And hopefully they're giving raises to their staff. With that money. So then that leads us to 2022, which means it's going to be really interesting, because the world is just bigger for us. Right. So let's start with goals. I know you like to anchor us and define what is a goal.
Yeah, and I usually stay away from the word goals because it can mean so many different things, right? So in evaluation language, the reason that I stay away from it is that it could mean 3 different things, right? It can mean the process, right? Like, I have a goal to run 5 days a week in 2022. It can mean the outcome. Like, I have a goal to improve my fitness in 2022. Or it can mean a milestone, like I'm going to run my 100th mile, right? I'm going to run my 10th 5K. And that gets really confusing for people and for organizations, right? So that's why I like to, clarify the process measures versus the outcome measures versus the targets, right? Or the target is the number. So that being said, we don't really need the word goal, right? Because goal, I think, is too big. It can mean any of those things, right? And that's why you're constantly hearing things like, how to write SMART goals, because specific, measurable, actionable, all that is, an attempt to take goals and narrow it down to something that you can know when you're making progress on it, right? And that's what I think is really important, right? Define it clearly enough that you know when you're making progress, and then have a way to measure it, so you're making progress. And then that third thing is a target. I distinguish between the goal and the target, which is like the number that we're aiming for.
Yeah. And next week we're having Lindsay Satterfield, and she talks about goals in a similar way, where she really dissects them and says that one of the issues people have with productivity is that they put outcomes on their to-do lists, not tasks.
I'm super guilty of that. Like, write an entire book. It's on my to-do list.
Right. Yeah, my to-do list is and so really looking at the details, which is what you're saying. So distinguishing, and I thought you did a wonderful job distinguishing that one, goals means different things to different people, but that there's a target and there's an outcome, there's a result. There's different ways of looking at the destination that you want to arrive. Right. But what's important is also acknowledging the steps to get you there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so it's important for people and it's important for organizations. You know, when you set a goal, like, by the end of the year, we will have raised $2 million, right? But you don't have any process metrics. What tends to happen is you get to the end of the year, you didn't raise $2 million, and you just sort of shrug, oh, well, right? There was no incremental checking. Whereas if you really made a thorough plan and said, all right, to get to that target for revenue, we're going to send out this many letters. We're going to hold this number of events. We're going to talk to so many donors per week, right? Now you have all of these little steps that you can check off every day and every week to know that you're working on the thing. When the thing is just so big and way out in the future, there's a tendency not to work on it at all because you just don't know where to start. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking when you were talking about that, I think I have that problem. So
I think everybody has that problem.
So I want to start walking.
Yeah.
And all I think about when I think about it is the walking program. Mm-hmm. But what I don't think about is I haven't set a date. I did purchase sneakers, but I haven't purchased socks. So I don't have socks to wear with the sneakers.
We have an implementation problem.
Right. Yeah. And then what I haven't done is set a route and said, okay, I'm going to start walking a quarter of a mile.
And I read an even better example recently, which was on day 1, go to the door. On day 2, go outside.
Wow. Yeah.
On day 3, maybe 3 or 4, you would actually go for a walk. But pay attention to much, much smaller steps, right?
Yeah.
So maybe tomorrow you can get socks. And then the day after, you can put on your sneakers and your socks.
Right.
And then the next day, you can put on your sneakers and your socks and walk to the door, right?
And then eventually put it on my calendar.
Yes. Right.
I love that. Yeah. Cool. All right. So we know. So how do you define goals? So you told us what they could mean. What's your recommendation?
So my recommendation is think smaller. And just to be clear about which ones you're making, whether it's an outcome goal or a process goal. I think both are really useful, right? Mm-hmm. Outcome goals help us understand why the process goals matter. But process goals are the ones that you can actually check off every day, right? So if you're somebody who likes, well, when little kids use them, we call them sticker charts, but there are sticker charts for grown-ups too. If you have, one of those journals where you're checking off how much water you drank during the day or which day you exercised, like,
Yep.
That's a sticker chart, right? You're doing
Yeah.
it. That's like, those are the things that can go on, on that kind of like daily, weekly feedback system. You
Yeah.
need those. And you need those in an organization too, right? So you need to be meeting with staff and saying like, oh, how are we doing on that target of meeting with one potential donor every week?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh, you didn't meet with one last week. Well, can you catch up and meet with two this week? Like, that's how you create this kind of accountability that
Yeah.
doesn't let things slip until you're 50 meetings behind and it's just not even possible, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's both. The outcome goal helps you understand like why the action that you're doing today is
Mm-hmm.
worthwhile, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go on a walk today because I have this target for however I'm going to measure my health and well-being at the end of the year, right?
Right.
It's important to keep in mind. And if you don't have one of those, then the daily action, it's going to be really hard to stick with it, right?
Right. Yeah.
See the benefit at the end.
Yeah. So let's model that. Let's
Okay.
let's put this to the test. So what's a goal we have for coffee time?
Okay, so I mean, Coffee Time has been steadily growing its viewership.
Yes.
We're across all of our platforms and syndication, we're reaching a couple of hundred people every week, but we want to grow that. And I think part of our challenge is measurement, right? Because we got so many views in so many different places. We are honestly struggling with the math. So I think that would be an initial step, is to figure out what that number actually is so that we'll know when we're doing better.
Mm-hmm. So that's a process, right? In order to achieve the goal of greater viewership, we have to first develop, we have to figure out what's that baseline number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that's a process. And then I do know that we want to go international. We want to broaden our international audience, which we do through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of people
watching us on LinkedIn from all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but we would also like to be syndicated in other countries and really expand that viewership. So what might be a process that we could do that would get us there?
I don't know. We have to do some research about that.
Yeah.
Should we reach out to some other platforms and pitch our show?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that'd be good.
All right, let's make that our goal for January. We'll research.
Yeah, and we could talk to our partner, our sister radio station. Well, they're not our sister radio station, but the radio station that we partner with,
right?
Who has our show. We can talk about the advantage of our show on an international platform, so that because we have a concept, and so we have proof of concept. So, which I learned from Shark Tank, by the way.
So if there's anybody watching this who knows how to grow a show, please put some tips in the comments, because we're looking for some action steps on this one.
Yes.
I really think this is a great show. I mean, I have to say that sincerely. I think that we're really proud of ourselves. I'm really proud of us. That I think that we just took our curiosity and our willingness to learn about these things, and we shared it with a lot of people, and we learned a whole lot of really useful stuff. And we brought on amazing guests who had really interesting things to say and were so knowledgeable and were so honest, sharing their stories, that we've created this resource that I'd like more people to have.
Oh yeah. I've met incredible people here. And it's just been I still think about the gentleman, I think his name was Chris. I don't remember. He has an expertise in knowledge management.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he's from a different country. Didn't you meet him because he saw you on LinkedIn or something?
Are you thinking of Chris who draws the cartoons? Or are you thinking of Matthew, the librarian?
Chris, I think, who draws the cartoons.
we have met and had so many amazing guests on this show. Yeah. But yes, those are both people that I knew on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Before I ever knew them in real life. And
But one of them was international, weren't they? One of our guests?
One of our guests was from England. Yes. Yes. What is her name? Yes. She specializes in data systems.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
And so what Chris taught me is, and I don't know if he said it or it's just something that I walked away with, a nonprofit's greatest asset is their knowledge.
Yeah.
And we can all do better at documenting that knowledge.
Yes.
But what happens often,
sharing it. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
And sharing it, making sure that people have that information and they're continuously building on it, not recreating it. Yeah.
Yes. And so many nonprofits, at least the ones that I meet, are not documenting their processes. They're not documenting their knowledge. Oh my.
And especially right now, there's so much turnover. So many people are leaving organizations. It's really an important thing to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we definitely,
that could be a goal for an organization, like start a handbook and start documenting some knowledge.
Yeah. And make it really simple. You could do it on Word. Word has great templates. Make it really simple. Another thing that we have learned that is going to turn into a goal is in the summer, Rebecca had to take a leave. I think it was toward the end of the summer. Yep. She had to take a leave. And so she became a producer, and she is now producing our shows in the background. She's not producing this one in particular. She's not with us today, but
I'm sure you can tell.
Yeah. Big difference. But what we've learned is the value of production and having a producer and investing in one. Rebecca is planning on coming back. We can't wait to have her back. And we've been thinking about, do we make the investment to get a producer that would make this show even better?
Yeah.
Right. And take away the technical aspects that we're also managing as we're live.
Right.
Or do we continue doing it the way we've been doing it? And nonprofits struggle with this all the time because sometimes it's about money or funders or resources, meaning you don't have someone who has the knowledge.
Yeah.
And as solopreneurs, we feel that pain as well. Right. So how do you do
and how do you balance, short-term cash flow versus long-term projects? Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get asked a lot about also running our businesses or, questions more related to solopreneurship or entrepreneurship. And it's all the same. It's all, a business is a business, including nonprofit organizations. And so the decision to take a risk and you could manage and mitigate your risk, but to take that risk because you project things happening by making that investment. It's something that's scary, but has to happen. And what better time than COVID?
And it's a scary time anyway. So, right. So go for it. And I think our tolerance for uncertainty is a lot greater now than it was 2 years ago.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. Now I'll tell you this. Next week we're having, I think I mentioned this already, Lindsay, our productivity guru, and she talks about setting timelines. She's big on timelines, and she does them by the season, right? And which for her is 4 times a year. Some people say quarter. She says season, and it's wonderful because anything too long, according to her, eventually loses its momentum. Yeah. So I think it's important to also break down your goals and see how long it's going to take you, and then put them in a season. So you can also check it off.
And I think that's, something that organizations can really benefit from too. Is taking those big goals and then cutting them down into much more manageable pieces, right? And that creates much more effective feedback loops and opportunities to reflect and make new plans. And that's the point of evaluation, right? Is to make a plan, look at what's going on, ask yourself, is this working? And then adjust the plan, right? That's essentially evaluation. When you're doing it in year-long cycles, you might be doing something that's not really working or that's sort of inefficient for a really long time before you revisit it.
Right? Yes.
So looking at things, some things in seasons, some things in weeks makes a lot of sense.
I think so. That was changing for me last year.
Yeah.
It really, really helped me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So leaders can also set goals, right? So we tend to look at goals, results, outcomes, targets in terms of our program participants, which puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yes, puts the onus on them. And then this is again, like we have talked about taking asset-based frames versus deficit frames. When all of the goals are for the participants, there's this underlying assumption that there's something wrong with them and they should be better.
Right.
How do we share the responsibility, as the organization?
Yes. And that and so why should we expect the program participants' life to be transformed without us looking at how
we're not transforming.
How we can transform to be better. Right. So it's like this thing, there's this idea that I am going to give you a service that's going to transform your life. But your life has to transform because I'm measuring it for you.
Right.
Let's measure ourselves. And leaders can do this, right? How many leaders do you know actually set leadership goals for themselves? Per quarter, per year, 2 times a year, and not related to your performance appraisal, not related because your board of directors said that you should, but really about rising to the best of your leadership. And really reflecting, which is what we've been doing. We've been reflecting and modeling what that looks like. And hopefully that reflection time has helped you set some goals for 2022. So how about that? How about we let our staff take care of the outcomes for our program participants, and leaders really focus on their leadership? Especially year 3 of COVID.
Year 3 of COVID. Yeah. But this is the year, right? This is the year that our COVID era adaptations are baked in. And so we're going to be permanently restructuring our organizations.
Yeah. So we're close to the end. Let's not end until we talk about some personal goals.
Okay.
Right. So you and I had a lot of transformation in 2021. We moved.
Yes.
Right. That was a really big deal. Really trying to live our best life. And what are your goals? Do you have any goals, or do you want to name 1 or 2 goals?
A couple of goals. Okay. So I'd like to state my outcome goals as affirmations. So under the outcome goal of I feel great, my goal this year is to get strict pull-ups. And if I just sit on this all year and wait till December, nothing will happen. So I've got to set a sub goal, which is going to be to work on my pull-ups for 10 minutes 3 times a week. Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That's exciting. But it's going to be exciting when you achieve it.
It's going to be really exciting when I get it.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. And so what season are you expecting to achieve this goal?
I think summer season.
Wow. Cool. And you'll let us know?
I'll let you know.
I just have to remember that this summer. That's not a problem. Will I remember? But you'll let us know. You'll let us know. Yeah.
My
So
progress.
I have a lot of goals. I have not begun to write them down. You have a wonderful process where you set goals in different areas of your life.
Right.
And so you've taught me that. And so, but this year I'm following that model, but I haven't put them down yet. And so I have to I'm recognizing, I mean, I don't do, I don't have a ritual of resolutions. I do resolutions actually for my birthday. Because for me, that's when the year begins. But I love resets. I do.
Yeah.
Like for me, every morning is a reset. And so definitely January 1st is a reset for me as well. So I'll get there. I'll draw that diagram. But some goals are definitely a walking program, right? So that's my destination, right? My process is, and I bought sneakers, which by the way, when I put my feet in them, it was so, I forgot what it felt like to wear sneakers. So, but I remember my husband opened the closet. He said, "You own sneakers?"
Yeah. Now you're going to be like me. You're going to get hooked and just refuse to ever wear anything but sneakers.
I know. So, but really develop a plan so that I also have quarterly or seasonal goals.
Yep.
Right. And so that's one.
And is the walking an end unto itself, or is it supporting a mental health goal or a physical health goal?
It is, yes. So I have some conditions that could be helped by walking.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to be a runner. And so running is no longer an option. I don't like the way my knees feel.
No.
I don't enjoy it the way I used to. So I actually want to become a really good walker.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so that's going to help me. But I read the other day that if you walk, it helps your memory. And so I forget a lot. So I'm like, oh my God, I really got to get started on this program because now I have a different reason. So there's definitely mental health. There's definitely physical health, but now there's the cognitive thing going on.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can look at me. I'm developing an evaluation plan for your walking program. So now I need you to select an indicator, right, that you can check every season. Right?
Yes.
A fitness measure, like
my blood pressure.
Yes, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
That you can check every quarter, so you'll know that your regimen is working.
Yeah. My blood pressure would be very happy when I start walking.
Yeah.
And then I have definitely financial goals, which you have helped me with that, and I have goals for school. So 2020 is for me going to be
a busy year.
Yeah, it's going to be filled with goals. And I moved to the South so that I can enjoy the weather.
Yeah.
So that's a key. So you said quality of life goals. Yeah. And so one of mine is to enjoy the weather. And that could mean different things, including just sitting in my balcony or going to the beach. I am 10 minutes away from beautiful beaches. So those are my goals. But I just have to go processes. And one process is finding out where the beach is. I'm the best.
The great thing about moving is everything is new. You get to find out where the stores are, find out where the good restaurants are. Everything is an adventure.
I did start with the restaurants.
Yeah.
Versus the beaches.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Well, everybody have a happy and healthy new year.
Yes. Take care, everyone. Bye. See you in 2020.